welcome back. Okay, so one of the main, I guess, inspirations for me when I was changing my diet up a little bit, a lot really, was Nicole Kidd. She is from Paleo Hope. She has a great Instagram account, a great blog. Now you're at paleohope.com.
Yes.
And I always like to give people a little bit of background. You offer all kinds of advice and suggestions and product advice for someone who maybe has an autoimmune issue.
Yes.
So your autoimmune was thyroid.
Yes.
And that's how you started.
It took a little bit of digging to figure it out why I was feeling like crap all the time and tired and sluggish and brain fog, and I had what they call the thyroid storm of symptoms. And it was actually my brother-in-law looked at my blood work one day and said, well, this looks a lot like mine. And he's like, I have Hashimoto's. And I was like, what are you talking about? There's no way I have an autoimmune disease. And lo and behold, he was right, and I went and got all the testing done, and it came back that I had Hashimoto's, and I cried at first, but then I said, I'm not gonna let this beat me, and I found paleo, and it changed my life.
It changed your life, and it helped you take control of your health. Yes. I too have Hashimoto's, but I was too dumb to cry about it. I was like 20, like, oh, okay. Whatever. You know, they gave me a pill, and that was the end of it. But what happened for me is just that if you keep doing the same things, it stops working or changes. Your body
stagnant.
changes the older you get, and your hormones change, and so you have to kind of make adjustments. So that's where I was when I first saw your stuff. But when you went paleo, you went all the way. You were very.
Yes. I was very strict with it for probably the first 6 months, and then I started to really feel so much better. And with paleo, it's not a strict template that you have to follow for the rest of your life. What they basically say is, try this out and then find some wiggle room. Like some people we were discussing can tolerate corn. We obviously do organic corn because it's one of the highest GMO crops. Some people can tolerate rice, and that is, you know, not considered paleo either. And I recently discovered I can do goat cheese. Thank God for that.
And some butter a little bit.
Yeah,
That's
a little
really
bit
nice
of butter,
thing.
which I've never been able to do in the last 2 years. So if we go out to a restaurant, I can now get like Eggs Benedict with gluten-free toast, which is really nice. Yeah.
And I think that's really important to know. When people ask me about it, it's like, look, I do recommend if you try to do it, you try for a good, like 4 weeks or so, just to see, how do I feel if I eliminate these different things? How does that look with me? And then you almost have to treat yourself like a baby. Do you remember when you had a newborn and they said it was time to start feeding them solid
every
foods?
3 days.
Right, like you try this thing for 3 days. If they have a reaction, then you know, oh, it was the sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or whatever the thing is.
Because you can't dump everything back in at once and then go, oh, I feel like crap. Because you're not going to know what that food was.
Absolutely. So that's the way I did it too. But I did it for longer. I probably did it for, like I said, almost 6 months, where I didn't, nothing past these lips that was not on the paleo, But then I started realizing, okay, I do want a little cheese, and found out to be fine. A bowl of ice cream, not so great.
Yeah.
Scoop of ice cream, yes. So
which is so nice.
It is nice, and it helps you. Variety is the way that helps.
Keep it long term.
Yeah.
It helps because when you can have a little bit of wiggle room and fun in your diet, you're more likely to continue on with this lifestyle, which is really just eating the way our ancestors ate 200 years ago.
Absolutely.
Fruits, vegetables, meats, seafood.
So you've got, like I said, I always want to recommend, she has a very popular Instagram, Paleo Hope, and almost daily, I think, pretty much daily. You're so good. I'm like, I won't have a post on for a week. I'm like, oh, how does she always get something on? But you have really beautiful food and good suggestions, and you find the really good products too, because that is another, it used to be like there were these offshoot stores that were, where am I going to find this? More and more you're finding things that you need in the mainstream grocery stores, which is
and
wonderful.
Here in Toledo, I don't live in Toledo, I live a little ways out, but I actually travel here quite often to get a lot of stuff. Costco they're really getting a ton of stuff. I mean, here's organic olive oil.
A nice jug of it.
You guys are going to be getting a Whole Foods soon, which is where I get like this goat cheese, but they sell goat cheese everywhere. This is a organic raw honey from Meyer, and you guys actually have an amazing farmers market where they sell raw local honey, which is super amazing.
Here's my raw. I brought some too for if I have time in the third segment to show you, but I have raw local honey, same deal. You look for it, and it's, it is expensive, so use it wisely. but it's really good.
But it's amazing for you. Honey
is.
has so many antioxidants. It is a superfood. It truly is.
So what's your, what are you showing us today? And
Okay,
this is
so-
also on your blog so that, you know, people can see. Okay.
Yes. All right. So one of the best things you can do is make your own salad dressing. And most people think that is way too hard. I'm just going to go buy some. But it's the easiest thing, and you can change it up so many ways. So on the blog post, I give you a ton of ideas on different ways you can not only use this dressing, but you can change the dressing just by simply swapping out different vinegars, by adding fresh herbs, by adding dried herbs, by adding garlic to it. So this one has, if you count salt and pepper, 6 ingredients.
And this is a balsamic vinaigrette
Yep.
that you made.
So we have here, we're going to start with half a cup of olive oil, which I forgot to take the cap
That's
off.
okay. Your big, giant olive oil, but that's nice. If you're gonna make a trip to Costco, come into town for it, you want to get a nice bulk amount so you don't have to mess with it.
And I use this so much. You don't really want to cook with it because it doesn't have as high of a smoke point, so you can use coconut oil, you can use avocado oil. Those are the healthier oils that you want to stick with, or even different animal fats like a pastured lard, things like that. So we've got half a cup of olive oil here,
okay.
and we're going to do 1 tablespoon of honey. And the nice thing is you can change this around too by adding maple syrup to give it a slightly different flavor, and maple syrup is really good with this one too. And then you want 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. Like I said, you can use red wine, you could use a champagne vinegar to make a champagne vinaigrette.
Doesn't that sound pretty?
It's so good too.
So good. Well, and so then,
And you can make this zestier by adding another tablespoon if you want.
depending on what your
is-
favorite tastes are. And you make it maybe on a Sunday so you can kind of use it all week.
It doesn't last all week unless
Really?
I double it. Yeah,
Double it, okay.
My kids love it. So then we just do a good pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper.
Is that Himalayan?
And Himalayan pink sea salt.
Love that.
And I have Dijon mustard.
Well, you've got Annie's there, but that's another thing. It's like those brands that you look at when you're looking for your mustard. What
Meyer.
do you?
This is from Meyer. Yep. I
The
usually
tiny
just
little
look
boutique
for
Meyer grocery
I
store.
know. I usually just look for ones that have minimal ingredients. I mean, mustard should really only have basically mustard seed, vinegar, salt, pepper, and that's about it. I mean, we don't need to overdo it with our stuff. And then just give it a good whisk. Now, if you have like a little mini Ninja or a Bullet, you could throw that in there and it'll get really creamy. And if you wanted to add fresh herbs, basil is amazing in here. So is fresh mint. You could add dried too, but if you use your little Ninja and whisk it up in there, you'll get this amazing dressing. But
I bought an immersion blender the other day, and it changed my life because I wanted to make mayo,
Yes.
and you really kind of need it. And it's like,
You
this
do.
is my favorite thing.
and I'll have to give you some tips on different ways to make mayonnaise later because
Oh, yeah.
you can change it up.
I would
and
love that. I love
so
that.
good. And so there
makes
we
you feel
go.
accomplished too.
I just made a homemade dressing in less than a minute.
Right. While talking
That's
to
all it
me and me
takes.
interrupting
Yep.
you handled it
So
beautifully.
then, one thing, I actually, on the blog post with this, I have 3 or 4 different recipes that you can use this in. So here's one with cucumbers and tomatoes. You just cut up a cucumber and cut up some little grape tomatoes and mix it in there with, I've got some fresh chives from my garden, and then throw a little bit of goat cheese on there. And that in itself is amazing. Another thing that I like to do is if I have this, I either throw that on some spinach or some romaine, and you mix that together, put a chicken breast or chicken thigh on top, or piece of salmon. On the blog post, I also have another salad that I use arugula, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I added diced up fresh peaches and some avocado, and then you can make it into a whole dinner salad by adding some chopped up chicken to it or some salmon. You can throw some goat cheese or some feta cheese on it, whatever floats your boat. And you now have this simple dressing that has become multiple different meals, as well as using this for a marinade for chicken kebabs.
See, that's the other thing is that if you make this, you can also marinate your meats in it for your main course or for your
Yes.
proteins.
Yep.
I'm going to take a quick break, but before we go, I'm going to keep you here because I always love getting your input on stuff that I'm doing because she's really, like I said, a great mentor for someone if you kind of want to start this lifestyle. I want to remind everyone it's paleohope.com. There it is, beautiful little blog, and Paleo Hope is also what you search for on Instagram. And so you can see that she is living this life with kids and husband and all that kind of stuff. It is
Chickens.
possible to do this, and it's not it's not even that hard if you know where to turn. And that's who I turn to, Paleo Help. Stay with us. I'm gonna make a little thing in a little mug and we'll talk to Nicole a little bit more. How about that for a tease?